Bipolar disorder is a mental illness. It affects about 2% of the population, and in days gone by it was known as manic depressive psychosis. So therefore the features of bipolar disorder are episodes of mania and episodes of depression.
I was initially diagnosed with drug-induced psychosis, and yeah, over the last 10 years have had I think 4 episodes, like 4 major episodes, where I've had to go to hospital, and have eventually been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, which used to be called manic depression.
In 2001 I was diagnosed with bipolar 2, a mild bipolar, which I'd probably been carrying for at least, well, we can trace it back for about 25 or 30 years.
It's characterised particularly by mood swings. People with bipolar disorder can go from huge elation down to the most severe depression.
Yeah, mania is, yeah, it's really, really intense. Like your emotions are intensified. You often can't sleep for days. You have lots and lots of energy, including lots of sexual energy.
And that's when a whole lot of inappropriate behaviours can happen: promiscuity, overspending, grandiose schemes, taking on huge commitments that they can't fulfil.
During a manic episode, by definition, the person's psychotic. And what that means is they're usually grandiose. I
find that, you know, I can become pretty creative, and I write lots of poetry when I'm manic, and I write lots and lots of lists about things that I'm going to do. You know, it's a little bit like writing New Year's resolutions, but magnified 1,000 times. That, you know, I'm going to dance, sing, write plays, act in plays, you know, write short stories, long stories, save the world, basically.
I had one woman with bipolar working for me. She used to work 100 hours a week when she was at manic, 100 hours a week.
Some people, however, become quite paranoid when they're in a manic episode. So Spike Milligan, for instance, used to take an axe to his neighbours. So it can range from grandiosity through to paranoid thinking and a lot of irritability and aggression.
You know, in terms of the episode that I had in my workplace, I started to get very paranoid. I was working for the government, so I started having all these paranoid delusions that the government was out to get me, and, you know, they were sending security to get me.
And during that time, the person may have delusions, they may have hallucinations, but certainly they'll be out of touch with reality.
You become delusional about what skills you have and what you're capable of doing.
They can also be quite reckless, so they might think that they're such a good swimmer that they could swim to New Zealand, or that they can fly from a building. So the risk of putting yourself at danger as a consequence of the manic mood state is very high. Some
people tend to think of mania as a bit glamorous, but it's certainly far from glamorous. I suppose it's a lot more fun than being deeply depressed.
And then the slide starts to go down into the depression phase. And it can be particularly dangerous because people can kill themselves.
Yeah, I guess the pattern for myself has been, you know, if I've been hospitalised, generally afterwards, yeah, I will have quite a significant time period of depression, which can lead to suicidal ideas. I guess because the positive emotions are so intensely magnified, the negative emotions are as well, and then once you get into that black clouded space, it's really, really hard to see a way out of it.
Depression, either as part of bipolar or by itself, can be terribly dangerous. There are really good prognoses for depression, but people kill themselves. It's treatable, but it has huge casualties.
And when I've been in a really depressed state, it's hard to get out of bed in the morning, it's hard to get in the shower, so it's incredibly hard to go for a walk or go for a bike ride. So Yeah, and I think having people around you to help to motivate you to do that sort of thing can make a big difference.
You can pick bipolar because of the swings. I don't think that the average person picks depression all that well.
Yeah, having someone that believes you and will support you. You know, I've found that a lot of the negative things that have happened for me during having this illness has been that people can often equate mental illness with being manipulative and making things up, and you know, just wanting to be a bit of a drama queen and not thinking about my actions and things like that. And it's not that you don't want to do those things, it's not that you don't want to be responsible, but once the illness takes over, it's hard to think rationally.